Oh my goodness, what did I just watch? I just saw JD Vance completely obliterate Dana Bash live on CNN. He literally told her to shut up. This is the most intense interview I have ever seen, probably in my life. It is so absurd. And to see it be done by JD Vance, like there's probably no better person just because JD Vance is such an aggressive bulldog, but he's so smart and also careful and intentional. It's so interesting to see. So before I play that, other things we're going to talk about are CNN just actually went after Kamala HQ, and I'm so happy about this because again, we've been seeing Kamala HQ do so much manipulation and misleading posts, and I'm so happy that someone is actually talking about this and actually holding them accountable for their lack of context, truly. And we're also going to look into this post by Benny Johnson because he actually shared this email by the Trump campaign who brought the receipts of pretty much every bad thing that was ever said that was actually inciting violence and making President Trump out to be some sort of threat. He brought all these and he linked them all up here. Like this is absolutely crazy. From Kamala Harris to Joe Biden to Nancy Pelosi, it is so absolutely phenomenal to see. So we're gonna get into that too. Okay, so without further ado, thank you so much for being here. Also, you know what I just discovered? I just learned that there are like 800 people here who have their notifications on for these videos. And that is so exciting to me. Thank you so much to everyone who has their notifications on. I never even talk about or mention that, but could we get that to 1,000? Could we get 1,000 people here who have their notifications on? That would be so wild. And I'd be so grateful for it. So, okay, let's get into it. This is what is on the line. Also, I made some hats, and I think that's super dope. You could probably find them linked up, but let's get into it. Enough of this yapping. I'm sorry, but let's go. I'm so happy.
Children because Kamala Harris let criminal migrants into this country who then murdered their children. The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to
But it
if I
wasn't
have
just a
to
meme, sir.
create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana,
Wow.
because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast. You had one interview with her. You talk about pushing back against me, Dana. You didn't push back against the fact that
Oof.
she cast the deciding vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which is why a lot of Americans can't afford food and housing.
Come
You just
You
said
on.
that
ought
you're
to be talking
creating a
about public
story.
policy.
Wow. There we go. Finally, someone is holding her accountable to this soft interview that she did with Waz and Harris. What I love about this is Dana Bash nearly completely avoids all of this accountability and the responsibility and journalistic integrity. She completely ignores it and instead focuses on one aspect of what JD Vance just said. Instead of taking responsibility of of her doing this softball interview, which if you've been watching, you know, we talked about that. We talked about how absurd it is and just the lack of character that was displayed from the journalistic perspective. It is absurd. So to see JD Vance actually hold her accountable, and I don't think he's attacking her at all. I think he is just holding her accountable. He's holding media accountable. That is what I'm saying, and that is what I'm appreciating. Just to be clear here.
You're creating the
What's
story.
that, Dana?
Uh, you just said that this is a story that you
Yes,
created. So the eating dogs
we
and
are
cats
cre-
thing is not
we are
accurate.
creating we are
There we
Dana,
go.
it comes from
Come on.
firsthand accounts from my constituents. I say that we're creating a
Gosh.
story, meaning we're creating the American media focusing on it.
Wow.
I didn't create 20.
Which is exactly what it should be, right? Because we elect these people, we put them in positions of power. Why? I believe that we have put them in positions of power because we want these local issues to be elevated to this federal and national level. That's why we elect people. Like we elect mayors to be transparent about the issues that are happening at the bottom and elevating them to the top. That's why we elect people. That's why we elevate people. This is what we do. And right now, the media is so corrupt because they're not doing it. And it's so sad. So, what JD Vance and what Trump is suggesting is that we actually elevate those experiences and I love that. This is what is right to me. If you agree or disagree, you let me know. But this is just how I'm experiencing this moment. Okay, let's go.
20,000 illegal migrants coming into Springfield thanks to Kamala Harris's policies. Her policies did that, but yes, we created the actual focus that allowed the American media to talk about this story and the suffering caused by Kamala Harris's policies.
Do you condemn the Proud Boys, even if it's just 12, even if it's just one marching in Springfield?
Dana, I condemn all white supremacists. I'm obviously not, I'm married to a non white person. I don't like these people, but I think that we have to keep our focus not on 12 marchers going down the street, but on the fact that thousands of residents have had their lives destroyed by Kamala Harris's policy. I find this very unusual, Dana, that the
Wow.
American media is more interested in a bunch of losers marching down the street than they are in the fact that Kamala Harris has made these people's lives worse. I'm not talking about 12
Wow.
Proud Boys. I'm talking about 40,000 residents, 40,000
Wow.
constituents of mine, many of whom can't afford housing and food because of Kamala Harris's open
Isn't it so sad that this is what the media does instead of actually talking about the tens of thousands of people who are hurting and suffering, they focus on this small, minute group of people who just for whatever reason, they just do better in the public eye. Like, what is that? Why aren't we having more of these conversations? Why aren't we focusing on the thousands of people who are hurting, the thousands of people whose realities have been completely disrupted? Why instead are we talking and we hear this growing up, it's like, "Oh, the squeaky wheel gets the oil." I don't like that. I don't like that the squeaky wheel gets the oil. That doesn't make sense to me because now you're prioritizing what gets done in government by complaints, by what does better in views and media attention instead of actually what's having a deep and profound impact on communities. I don't know. I think people need to get their priorities straight. That's not cool to me.
open border. That is what I want to focus the media's attention on. We're going to keep on doing it because I think the American people deserve a government that puts their interests first.
Just a
There
And
we
can I make just one more final point about
please.
this,
Yes,
Dana?
please.
You've heard a lot of the media
wow.
focusing on every possible distraction from the story in Springfield. You've heard them focus on these Proud Boys marches. You've heard just in this interview, Dana, the suggestion that because some psychopath is calling it a bomb threat, somehow we have to then ignore 40,000
That's
Springfieldians
not what I
who are having
suggested.
their lives worsened by Kamala Harris's policies. Well, what is the implication, Dana? I actually love to have this
Yeah,
conversation right now live on air.
right.
What is the implication when you say you calling out these problems has caused a bomb threat? You accused me of causing a bomb threat. Doesn't that mean you should shut up about the residents of Springfield? Don't you realize
I
you're engaged in basic propaganda
I
and
was
silence?
Oh my goodness. Did you hear that? Oh my gosh. Doesn't that mean you should shut up about the residents of Springfield? Look at this.
Accused me of causing a bomb threat. Doesn't that mean you should shut up about the residents of Springfield? Don't you realize
I
Wow.
you're engaged in basic propaganda?
Again, like I said in the beginning of this video, it's about holding these people who are influencing the hundreds of millions of people who are actually consuming this content. It's about holding them accountable. And I love to see it. Speaking of accountability, look at this from CNN Politics. This headline is fact checked. Harris campaign social media account has repeatedly deceived with misleading edits and captions. Again, we've been saying this from the absolute beginning. Providing context could not be further from the truth. So, for one, I'm happy that I think they're gonna actually start toning down their rhetoric and their misleading posts because of obviously what happened yesterday. What a travesty. But again, here we see CNN talk about example after example on how Kamala HQ has just been misleading voters. Look at this. Misleading, describing a Trump comment about his supporters. And you'll see, look at this. The Harris campaign declined to comment on this X post. See, because Kamala HQ was saying, "Oh, yeah, Trump was so confused. He was lost and confused." And it's like, no, he wasn't. And there are so many examples of this deceptively clipping and misleading, describing a Trump comment about immigration. But Trump, again, had not forgotten which state he was in. Look at this. The extended footage shows that the Harris campaign clipped out critical context. Do you see this? The extended footage shows that the Harris campaign clipped out critical context. Trump was talking about immigration, a key topic in Arizona, and had just read a part of his prepared text about how a small Pennsylvania town has experienced a 200% increase in population of Haitian immigrants under Kamala Harris. He then added, "So, Pennsylvania, remember this when you have to go vote. Okay, just remember this 200% increase. This is a small town." And all of a sudden, they got thousands of people. And again, look at this. The Harris campaign declined to comment on this Kamala HQ post. Remember, we were talking about accountability? Completely dodging it. Is that fair? Is this the person that you want to elect to office? Let me know. Let me know. Because you can say yes. You can say, oh, you know what? I actually like these clapbacks. Let me know. I love hearing other people's perspective here. Another one, deceptively clipping and inaccurately quoting a JD Vance quote about veterans' healthcare. Uh-huh. And these just do not stop. And unlike Comma HQ, CNN actually provides context. Okay? They actually provide the full quote. Unlike Comma HQ. I seldomly see them, or I don't know if I've ever seen them actually post an entire quote. They're just so deceptive and misleading, and they're reaching millions of people every single day. And it's so sad. It's so sad. Again, there are examples after examples, and Kamala HQ never responds to any of these, not even allegations. This is just fact. You go ahead and see these all for yourself right now. Look at this. Cutting out critical words from a Vance comment about unions. This is what they do. Again, they are doing the opposite of providing context. Providing context is such a joke. It's ridiculous. And look at this. Falsely describing a comment from a Trump ally. Yep. Wow. This is this is absolutely ridiculous. Again, this is all gonna be linked up. I always have all the media that I use in the description, so go ahead, check it out. But it is absolutely wild to see. And personally, if you ask me, I am just so happy to see mainstream media, to see CNN actually hold the Kamala HQ campaign accountable to what they have been doing. Because again, what happened yesterday, a lot of people are blaming Kamala for this. A lot of people are blaming the Biden-Harris campaign and the Democratic Party in general for this. And look at this, President Trump. This is I found this from Benny Johnson after he shared it. He wrote, "President Trump just dropped the receipts on every single Democrat who has contributed to the hateful rhetoric against him, which led to 2 assassination attempts." Wow. Look at this. He drops all of the receipts. Kamala HQ repeatedly said Trump is a threat to our democracy and fundamental freedoms. Kamala again, it's on us to recognize the threat Trump poses. Kamala again, does one of us have to come out alive? Ha ha ha. I just saw that today. Absolutely absurd. Joe Biden again. This was a famous one. It's time to put Trump in a bullseye. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Trump is a threat to this nation. Joe Biden again. Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. And that is a threat to this country. Are you reading these? This is absolutely absurd. If we see the vice president candidate Tim Walz, are Republicans a threat to democracy? Yes. Dot dot dot. Are they going to put people's lives in danger? Yes. Sir, sir, do you own a mirror? What are you guys doing here? This is so sad. Even Nancy Pelosi isn't innocent. She says Trump is a threat to our democracy of the kind that we have not seen. It's so absurd. Top Harris surrogate Liz Cheney. Trump presents a fundamental threat to the republic, and we are seeing it on a daily basis. Trump is an existential, urgent threat to our democracy. He is destructive to our democracy, and he has to be eliminated. Like, guys, read these things. It is so sad. The fact that these words are by elected officials is heartbreaking. The fact that we've gotten used to this kind of communication is sad, and we shouldn't allow it. We shouldn't allow it. So the fact that President Trump is actually elevating these these responses to this level as part of the blame of the division of this country, I think is absolutely fair. I think it's absolutely fair. And you know what I just saw today too? I just saw this from MSNBC. This woman live on the air says something absolutely unthinkable.
Having Trump not only have had the codes, but now having the classified information for Americans and being able to put that out and share it in his resort with anyone and everyone who comes through should be terrifying to all Americans. And he needs to be stopped.
Wow. He needs to be dot dot dot. Now, do I think she misspoke? I do. I do. Do I think that might be an insight into her internal negative thoughts about President Trump? I wouldn't say that's out of the question at all. I think it might be a reflection of some hatred that she has locked up, and it's sad. All of this is sad. Like, this woman isn't the only person to blame. All these people bear responsibility, and like I said yesterday, I think Trump is also partly responsible for some of this division. I don't know if I don't know if any person is righteous on both sides, in terms of how we communicate. Here's what I know though. I think every single person who's in the media, every single person who's an elected official, every person who's having these conversations and elevating them, I think we all have a responsibility to communicate in in an honest and meaningful way, especially these people. Like, come on, when you're elected, you have the responsibility of being an honest reflection of how people see the world, how people see these candidates. And at the end of the day, I don't think these people are an honest reflection of that. To have this rhetoric, to it be able to breathe in this environment, it's just not helpful, right? Because people across the political spectrum will read this and it'll either reaffirm what they already believe, which is, oh my gosh, yes, Trump is a threat, or yes, Biden is delusional. It'll reaffirm that, or we could start elevating the quality of conversations that we have by, again, maybe keeping it up about policy, right? Making the conversation that we're having actually have substance, and instead of attacking people's character, or instead of saying that this person is a threat to our democracy. Like, how are you going to say that? How are you going to say that someone who was a former president is a threat to our democracy? What are you talking about? These words, this and Project 2025, like, all these things are just so empty. And I don't know. I just don't like it. I just don't like it. But what do you think about this? Again, this is all going to be linked up. You can go ahead and read more about this, but it's sad and it's really disturbing to see. But let me know what you think about Trump dropping the receipts. Excited about that. Let me know what you think about CNN actually holding Kamala Harris accountable. Mainstream media is finally holding Kamala HQ accountable. And I think that is perfect. And also, let me know what you think about JD Vance absolutely grilling Dana Bash on live TV, and again holding her accountable. I think the main point of today is holding people accountable, and the conversation that we're gonna have tomorrow is going to be really interesting. You wanna know why? I'll give you guys a hint. Because tomorrow we are doing a deep dive in holding this man accountable. This this kid, this 21-year-old Harry Sisson. I'm not gonna attack you, Harry, but we are gonna hold you accountable. We are gonna hold you accountable. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know what you think about the conversations that we had here today. Please subscribe, turn on the notification bell, because I think it'd be so dope to have 1,000 people who have their notifications on. We are so close to that. And if you want to, buy a hat and kind of support what we're doing here, check it out. It'll probably be one of the links in the description. And yeah, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to do this with you guys. I'm so excited to serve you all in this way. And I'm just so grateful to be alive. Thank you for being here. Happy Monday. And I will see you all tomorrow. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching and listening. I appreciate your time so much, and I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you'd like to support what we're building here, please like and subscribe. It means a lot and it really helps us out. And if you want to see even more content from me, make sure to follow me on Instagram. I'm going to be sharing a lot more on there. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.